Confidence is magnetic, not negotiable, because the energy you carry communicates before your words ever do. When a man walks into a room, people don't first notice the cut of his suit or the style of his shoes. They notice his posture, his eye contact, the rhythm of his movement, and the silent message he gives off about how he values himself. A man who carries certainty in who he is without needing anyone else to validate him is felt instantly. Women, in particular, are drawn not to the performance of confidence, but to the authenticity of it, the unshakable calm that says, "I know my worth whether you see it or not." Approval seeking, on the other hand, leaks desperation. It communicates lack, a need for permission to exist, and that energy repels. The truth is, confidence isn't about being the loudest or the most dominant. In fact, insecurity often hides behind exaggeration. Real confidence is quiet strength. It's the kind of energy that doesn't need to prove itself, because it is already rooted in self-trust. Women are deeply intuitive, and they can sense when a man is putting on an act versus when he is grounded in who he really is. The man who constantly tries to impress, who bends his personality to match what he thinks she wants, who overcompensates with status symbols or bragging, is exposing that he does not believe he is enough. The man who owns his presence without seeking applause is the one who captures attention without effort. Certainty in oneself is not built overnight, and it is not built through external wins alone. It comes from stacking inner victories, from keeping promises to yourself, from setting standards and living by them. When you respect your own word, when you live with integrity, when you show discipline over your habits, you develop an internal authority that no one can take away from you. That inner authority radiates outward and becomes impossible to ignore. A woman meeting you for the first time may not know your story, but she will feel the weight of that authority in how you carry yourself, in the pauses between your words, in the way you listen without fidgeting, in the way you move with purpose instead of rushing for validation. Confidence is also the ability to remain calm under pressure, to not let rejection or challenge destabilize you. Every man encounters moments when he is ignored, dismissed, or tested, and the insecure man reacts with frustration, with anger, with wounded pride. The confident man remains composed. He knows rejection doesn't define his worth. He knows attraction is not about winning every interaction, but about maintaining his self-respect regardless of the outcome. That calm detachment is what makes him magnetic. Because when a woman sees that you do not crumble in the face of disinterest, she begins to question what it is about you that allows you to stand so firm. That curiosity, born from your unshaken certainty, is the first spark of desire. Another layer of confidence that women find irresistible is direction. A man who knows where he is going in life, who has purpose bigger than impressing her, becomes far more attractive than the man who makes her his only mission. Purpose gives you gravity. It prevents you from orbiting around her, and instead invites her to want to be part of your orbit. This doesn't mean arrogance. It means prioritizing your growth, your vision, your mission, so that any woman who enters your life is entering a reality that is already rich, already fulfilling, already magnetic without her. That self-sufficiency is powerful. Confidence is not negotiable because without it, everything else collapses. Charm without confidence looks like manipulation. Kindness without confidence looks like weakness. Ambition without confidence looks like overcompensation. But when confidence underlies everything, your charm feels authentic, your kindness feels powerful, and your ambition feels inspiring. It becomes the core frequency of your being. And that frequency draws women in at a subconscious level. She may not even be able to articulate why she feels pulled toward you, only that your presence makes her feel secure, intrigued, and alive. The man who carries certainty in himself does not need to chase approval, and that is why he attracts it. He does not beg for attention, and that is why he receives it. He does not force connection, and that is why it forms naturally. Women are not drawn to perfection, they are drawn to certainty. They are not seeking flawless men, they are seeking men who are solid in themselves, men who radiate the message, "I am enough," with or without your validation. That is the essence of confidence, and that is why it is magnetic, not negotiable. Scarcity sparks desire because human nature is wired to want what feels rare, difficult to obtain, or limited in supply. It is not manipulation, it is psychology. When something is always available, people overlook it, take it for granted, and assume it has little value. But the moment that same thing is scarce, its importance multiplies in the mind. This is why limited edition items sell out instantly, why exclusive events have waiting lists, and why the person who doesn't make themselves constantly accessible suddenly becomes the one everyone is curious about. Scarcity creates an aura, and in relationships, it works the same way. If you are constantly chasing, always calling, always showing up at her convenience, you remove all sense of challenge. But when you step back, hold your ground, and show that your time is precious, you become someone she must earn access to, and that subtle shift ignites attraction. Women are drawn to men who carry a life outside of them, who seem busy, focused, and fulfilled on their own terms. If you are available at every hour of the day, it signals that you have nothing else important going on. That instantly lowers your perceived value. Think of the man who is pursuing his goals, training his body, working on his craft, and living with purpose. His energy is consumed by his mission, and because of that, he cannot give unlimited time to anyone. That man is scarce, and that scarcity makes him magnetic. A woman feels that she has to fit into his world rather than him desperately trying to force himself into hers. This balance changes the dynamic entirely because now she is working to win him instead of him struggling to win her. Scarcity also generates curiosity. The mind fills in gaps when it does not have information. When you reveal every detail about yourself instantly, the mystery is gone, and with it the allure. But when you leave space, when you do not reply instantly, when you are not constantly explaining yourself, her imagination begins to work over time. She starts asking questions: where is he? What is he doing? Who is he with? Why isn't he available? That intrigue pulls her attention toward you, not because you forced it, but because you allowed silence and absence to do the work. Attraction grows in the gaps, not in constant presence. The key is balance. Scarcity does not mean neglect, arrogance, or coldness. It means communicating value by living a life so full that you cannot possibly devote every second to her. It means showing that your identity is not dependent on her approval. A man who creates scarcity does not chase validation because he already validates himself through his actions, his goals, and his discipline. This type of presence is what women crave because it feels powerful, controlled, and self-sustained. Scarcity also reverses the power dynamic. When a woman realizes you are not easily accessible, she starts to invest more energy into the connection. She begins to text first, she starts to wonder about your schedule, and she pays closer attention to your words. This happens because humans instinctively value what is difficult to secure. It's the same principle that makes diamonds desirable. They are only rocks, but because they are scarce, people will sacrifice, compete, and chase to have them. When you position your time and attention in the same way, you transform yourself from common to coveted. The beauty of scarcity is that it forces respect. A man who is everywhere, who bends over backwards, who abandons his priorities just to be available, communicates weakness, not strength. But the man who says no, who sets boundaries, who protects his schedule, communicates power without saying a word. That power is intoxicating, and it makes women want to lean in rather than pull away. Scarcity is not about pretending. It is about genuinely building a life so meaningful that no single person can consume it entirely. Mystery is magnetic because the human mind is designed to chase unanswered questions. What is hidden is always more attractive than what is fully revealed. When you give everything away immediately, your thoughts, your plans, your emotions, your attention, you remove the sense of discovery that fuels attraction. Women, like anyone, are intrigued by the unknown, and when a man carries himself with a layer of mystery, he becomes a puzzle worth solving. It is not about manipulation or playing games. It is about holding back just enough that she feels compelled to lean in closer, to ask questions, to invest energy in uncovering who you are. When you meet someone new, the most powerful thing you can offer is intrigue. Imagine walking into a room and speaking only what is necessary, not oversharing, not flooding the air with nervous chatter, but instead choosing your words with precision. People notice the one who talks less but carries weight in his silence. That silence leaves room for imagination, and imagination is far more powerful than any words you could force out. When a woman feels she hasn't fully figured you out, she stays engaged, wondering what else there is to learn. This creates anticipation, and anticipation is the fuel of desire. Mystery also protects your value. The more you reveal too soon, the more predictable you become, and predictability kills excitement. But when you reveal your layers slowly, when your character unfolds over time instead of all at once, she feels like she is on a journey of discovery. Each new piece of information becomes a reward, something she feels she has earned by getting closer to you. This drip of revelation builds momentum, making her want to continue deeper. If you hand her the entire book on the first day, why would she keep reading? But if you give her only the first few chapters, she cannot resist finding out how the story ends. A man with mystery is not aloof for the sake of arrogance. He simply does not expose his entire world casually. He guards his inner circle, his thoughts, his routines, and his emotions with intention. He knows that not everyone deserves access to his vulnerabilities or his secrets, and by holding back, he filters who is truly invested in him. That guardedness becomes a test of value. When a woman feels that she is being led into layers most people never see, she feels chosen, and that feeling of being chosen creates a deeper bond than any words could. Mystery also elevates the energy of presence. When you walk into a space and do not rush to be noticed, people begin to notice you on their own. They watch, they observe, they wonder why you are not pushing for attention like everyone else. That restraint amplifies your presence, making your silence louder than noise. Women, in particular, are drawn to men who do not seek validation from everyone because it signals that he is already whole. That self-containment is rare, and rarity always commands respect. The secret of mystery lies in timing. Reveal too much too soon and you kill intrigue. Hide too much forever and you create distance. The art is in the balance, giving enough that she feels connected, but withholding enough that she craves more. Think of it as a dance, one step forward, one step back, never rushing, never overwhelming. This rhythm builds tension, and tension is the essence of attraction. Mystery makes a man unpredictable, and unpredictability keeps emotions alive. A predictable man becomes routine, and routine breeds boredom. But the man who surprises her, who doesn't always respond in expected ways, who carries layers she cannot yet see, keeps her mind engaged. She starts to ask herself, what is he thinking? What drives him? What hasn't he told me yet? That constant curiosity turns into investment, and investment turns into desire. Emotional control wins respect because people instinctively trust and admire the one who remains steady when others lose balance. Pressure exposes character. In moments of chaos, stress, or confrontation, most people crack, lash out, or collapse under the weight of emotions they cannot manage. But the man who keeps his composure, who does not let anger dictate his words or panic dictate his decisions, instantly stands apart. He becomes the anchor others look to, the one who radiates stability, and that stability is deeply attractive. Women especially feel safer and more drawn to a man who can master himself because his calm signals strength, maturity, and leadership. Control of emotions does not mean suppressing them or becoming robotic. It means you acknowledge your feelings without letting them rule your behavior. When someone insults you, the impulse may be to react, to fight back, to defend. But true power lies in restraint, in choosing silence over explosion, in responding rather than reacting. That moment of stillness communicates volumes. It shows that you cannot be easily provoked, that your sense of self is not fragile, that you are grounded. A man who has emotional control is unshakable, and an unshakable man commands both respect and attention without ever asking for it. Women test men's emotions often without realizing it. They may push buttons, create small conflicts, or challenge your patience just to see how you handle pressure. These moments are not about the words exchanged, but about the energy you display. Do you lose yourself in anger? Do you beg for validation? Do you collapse into insecurity? Or do you breathe, smile, and continue forward with certainty? Every test is an opportunity to show strength, and the man who demonstrates control in those moments earns trust. A woman knows that if you can stay composed with her, you can stay composed in the face of life, and that reliability becomes irresistible. Emotional control is also tied to confidence. When you are secure in yourself, you do not need to prove anything. The man who explodes is often the man who feels threatened. The one who panics is the one who doubts his ability. But the man who knows his value, who knows he can handle whatever comes, has no need to broadcast his power. His calm is proof enough. This quiet confidence is magnetic because it feels rare. In a world where most people react impulsively, the one who doesn't becomes extraordinary. Staying calm under pressure also gives you the advantage of clarity. Emotions cloud judgment. When you let anger, fear, or anxiety run wild, your decisions suffer, and you end up regretting actions that were driven by temporary feelings. But the man who controls his emotions thinks clearly, sees options others overlook, and makes decisions that elevate him rather than diminish him. That clarity attracts respect from everyone around him, because people naturally follow the one who seems to know what to do when others are lost. Emotional control is not only about handling conflict, but also about managing success. Some men lose themselves in anger, others lose themselves in ego. When things go well, when they receive attention or validation, they become arrogant, careless, or reckless. But the man with emotional control does not let praise inflate him or criticism destroy him. He remains centered, balanced, steady. That balance creates consistency, and consistency is what builds trust. Women admire the man who is the same no matter what storm he faces, because it shows she can depend on him not only in calm waters but in chaos. Ultimately, emotional control communicates mastery of self. If you cannot control your emotions, you will always be controlled by them, and others will sense it. But if you can harness them, channel them, and remain composed, you project the kind of strength that cannot be faked. That strength does not need to shout, it does not need to demand, it naturally commands attention. A man who can stay calm under pressure is a man who separates himself from the crowd, and in doing so, he becomes the one who others, especially women, cannot help but respect and gravitate toward. Purpose is irresistible because it transforms a man from ordinary to magnetic without him having to chase, beg, or prove himself. A man with purpose carries an energy that is undeniable, an energy that speaks louder than words, louder than charm, louder than appearances. When you are deeply focused on a mission that drives you, everything about you changes: your posture, your presence, your confidence, your silence. Purpose gives direction, and direction is rare in a world where most people are lost, drifting, or distracted. A man with purpose becomes a force, and women are naturally drawn to that force because it radiates security, strength, and meaning. A man without purpose is unstable. He wakes up unsure of his path, easily swayed by the opinions of others, desperate for validation, and prone to wasting time in temporary pleasures. That kind of man may get attention for a moment, but he never commands long-term respect or attraction. Women can feel when a man lacks direction because it shows in his energy. He chases her not because he chooses to, but because he has nothing greater to chase. But the man with purpose does not orbit around a woman, he orbits around his mission, and that gravitational pull makes her want to step into his world. Purpose creates magnetism because it elevates a man above neediness. When you are focused on building something bigger than yourself, you do not cling to approval, you do not collapse when someone withdraws attention, and you do not measure your worth by who accepts or rejects you. Your mission validates you, your progress fuels you, and your discipline shapes you. That independence makes you powerful because it shows you are not seeking someone to complete you. You are already whole, and that wholeness is attractive. Women are drawn to men who stand on their own 2 feet, who lead their own lives, who know where they are going. A purposeful man also inspires. His actions speak louder than compliments, louder than empty promises. When she sees you pursuing goals with consistency, when she watches you sacrifice comfort for growth, when she notices that your discipline never wavers, she feels something deeper than attraction. She feels admiration. Admiration is rare, and once it is present, desire follows naturally. A man who inspires through his purpose makes a woman want to be a part of his journey, not because he begged her, but because she feels she is witnessing something significant. Purpose also creates scarcity, because a man driven by mission does not have unlimited time to waste. His energy is valuable, his schedule is full, and his presence cannot be taken for granted. That scarcity intensifies desire, because she knows she must earn a place in your life rather than expect it freely. A man who is always available signals he has nothing going on, but a man who is sometimes unavailable because he is building, creating, or striving communicates that his time is worth more. That distinction makes her lean in, wanting to be chosen by someone who values himself. Purpose refines a man's character. The pursuit of a mission demands discipline, patience, resilience, and sacrifice. These qualities sharpen him into someone stronger, steadier, and more attractive than the man who avoids struggle. Women are not just drawn to what you have, they are drawn to who you become, and purpose is the fire that forges character. A man without purpose can pretend, but pretense fades. A man with purpose cannot hide it because it breathes through everything he does. Above all, purpose makes a man unforgettable. Looks can fade, charm can fail, material things can lose shine, but purpose endures. A man who is building something meaningful carries an energy that lingers in the mind long after the interaction is over. She may not even understand why she is thinking about him, but it is because his presence is tied to something deeper than the moment. It is tied to vision. A man with vision is impossible to ignore because he embodies progress, and progress is what every human craves deep down. Detachment turns the tables because nothing weakens attraction faster than neediness, and nothing strengthens it faster than independence. When a man is obsessed with seeking approval, constantly checking for responses, always trying to please, he communicates that his sense of worth depends on her validation. That energy feels heavy, suffocating, and unattractive. But when a man is detached, when he values her presence without clinging to it, when he enjoys connection without depending on it, he radiates freedom, and freedom is magnetic. Detachment does not mean indifference, it means self-sufficiency. It means your happiness, your confidence, and your direction are not held hostage by another person. Women naturally respect men who cannot be easily controlled by emotions or attention. When you stop fearing rejection, when you stop obsessing over outcomes, you release an energy that is calm, centered, and powerful. That energy flips the dynamic because she can feel you are not waiting on her to define you. Instead of wondering whether you like her enough, she begins to wonder whether she measures up to you. Detachment creates a shift where you become the one evaluated, not the one desperately trying to qualify. This reversal is subtle but profound because in every interaction, the one who needs less holds the power. Detachment also protects your value. When you overinvest in someone too quickly, you give away what should be earned, your attention, your time, your energy. This communicates that these things are cheap, easily available, and therefore not special. But when you are detached, you are selective. You do not rush to give more than is deserved, and that measured restraint signals that your presence has weight. It makes her effort matter more because she realizes that access to your world is not automatic. That realization makes her chase, not because you forced her to, but because she feels the scarcity of your energy. A man who practices detachment stays rooted in his purpose. His mission, his growth, his discipline, these remain at the center of his life. A woman can add to it, but she does not define it. This orientation makes him attractive because it shows he is not swayed by temporary emotions or dependent on outside approval. He lives by his standards, his values, and his vision. That steadiness makes her lean toward him because she knows she cannot easily shake him. He is not waiting by the phone, not rearranging his life at her convenience, not panicking when she withdraws for a moment. That steadiness is strength, and strength draws her in. Detachment also ignites curiosity. When you do not rush to explain yourself, when you do not reveal every thought, when you are not obsessed with proving interest, you leave space for her imagination to work. She begins to ask, why isn't he chasing? Why doesn't he react? Why is he so calm? That curiosity fuels pursuit because she wants to solve the puzzle. And the more she invests in solving it, the more attached she becomes. The beauty of detachment is that it sets you free. Once you stop needing her to validate you, her actions lose their power to control your emotions. Whether she approves or disapproves, shows interest or withdraws, you remain steady. That inner control is the highest form of strength, and it makes you impossible to manipulate. Ironically, this freedom makes you more desirable, because desire thrives where choice exists. If you are bound by need, she feels trapped. If you are free by detachment, she feels pulled toward you. Detachment does not mean pushing people away or refusing to care. It means refusing to collapse into desperation. It is the art of valuing connection while never making it the source of your worth. The man who embodies detachment stands as a complete individual, offering presence without dependence, affection without fear, connection without clinging. That balance makes him rare, and rarity is always chaste.